All right. So we're a couple days after the Eurovision 2026 Song Contest. Let's get into it. All right. So, you know, as I just said, it's a couple days past. We know who won. But just in case you haven't watched, I will say, spoiler alert, we will be, we, the royal we, I will be talking about, who won and, all that kind of stuff. All right. So let's start with some general thoughts. This year, my exposure to the songs was a bit different than in years past. Over the past 20 years, what I've ended up liking to do, my normal MO, if you will, is to wait until all the songs from all the countries have been announced. And then I go and I make a playlist of all their official videos in semifinal one, semifinal two playlist, and a big five, or in this case, big four this year playlist. And I watch them that way. This year, for whatever reason, I didn't get the vibe. I was really busy. I didn't have a lot of energy to go through all of them at any given time. So what happened was by the time we got to Eurovision week this past week, I had only listened to semifinal one and the big four. And so what I decided to do then was to say, you know what, I'm not going to listen to semi two. I'm not going to continue listening to one or the big four. Let's just kind of wait until the show happens and I will just kind of experience it organically through as if I were just the most casual fan of Eurovision. So to that end, I was familiar with the songs from semifinal one and the big four, but I was not familiar with the songs that were in semifinal two. Another thing I want to say about this year, it was a strong competition. I will say that I can't really remember, honestly, the last year that I felt disappointed that there were this many slots for the final, but this many good songs. Usually, by the time we make it to semifinal one and two, I'm thinking, okay, well, I really only want 3 or 4 from this show. I'm only interested in 10 by the time we make it to the final. Versus, I was really invested in like 22 of the 25 or so that made it through. That's a bit high, not that many, but you get what I'm saying. There was actually, I was disappointed and excited by the fact that there were not enough slots for the good songs to make it through. 1 or 2 sinkers did get through, but we'll kind of maybe talk about that later. I don't want to get any people mad at me. With that, though, my thoughts on semifinal one. Got most of what I wanted here. There were 1 or 2 that squeaked in that I was like, oh, I wish it would have been those people, or that country, I should say. But yeah, mostly I got what I want. I want to also say I'm happy Portugal didn't go through. So again, I don't want bad vibes. Please, my hands are up. I'm flying a white flag. I love Portugal. I have nothing bad to say. What I mean by this is just my personal style, my choice of songs in Eurovision. I like the bangers, I like the energy, I like the dancing. Let's go, let's keep it up, let's have a good vibe. And for the past number of years, Portugal has sent really slow, sappy love songs. And again, don't get me wrong, I love a slow, sappy love song. It's just not typically what I look for in Eurovision. Okay, so all I'm meaning by putting this here is that maybe for next year, Portugal might send a dance track or something a bit different. Maybe it'll just shake them up a bit to go, oh, wait, we didn't qualify with what we've really been getting through with for the past couple years is all I'm saying. Like if they send another love ballad, next year, like, okay, cool. Let's look at it. Maybe it's a great one. I thought their song this year was okay, but it just didn't really bring much energy or newness to the table. Montenegro versus Lithuania or Moldova. Again, you can see in parentheses here, I'm bracing for negative feedback. I would have preferred Montenegro over Lithuania or Moldova. And I want to say something especially about Moldova. Moldova for many years. I've been watching Eurovision for about 20-ish years. A lot of years, I liked Moldova when no one else did. Okay? Unironically, I liked Moldova more than a lot of other people did. So I'm really positive with Moldova. I love Moldova. But I just thought their song this year was really giving Tutta l'Italia vibes from San Marino last year. It ends up just kind of reading like a tourism spot, like come see Moldova, which I mean I don't, I already I would love to see Moldova. I don't need a song about how, Viva Moldova. Like, okay, cool. So yeah, I wish Montenegro would have gone in over Lithuania or Moldova. With Lithuania, it was just like, I don't know that I get this. And that's a me problem, right? Obviously. I didn't quite get it. It was a fine song, but I didn't get it. Semifinal number 2. So as I said a couple minutes ago, I had not heard any of these songs before I saw semifinal number 2. And semifinal 2 was surprising because it had a lot of bangers. I had heard that before I saw semifinal 2, that, like, oh yeah, all the songs in semifinal 2. Semifinal 1 had clear, like, these are definitely going to go. Whereas semifinal 2 was like, oh, this is going to be a lot more competitive. There's, for the spots. So, my two criticisms, and again, I want to be really fair that it was a criticism about the performance. I'm not saying anything bad about the singer or the country. Like, no bad vibes outside of just I want to truly try to be objective about the performance in that moment. I really thought Cyprus was a fail on Thursday. She was just not. I don't think she was well. I think she was ill, maybe. I had heard that. I don't know how true that is, but she really did not hit the pitches that she was attempting, or that I thought she was attempting. She just was not quite there. And again, also, I want to be clear, I'm not the one on the stage in front of all those people, so it's easier for me to sit here and say, criticisms. But I am trying to be just fair and objective on this. She did not put out a good performance. And also, again, I absolutely adore this country. I love them. But again, just being objective, I thought Ukraine did not quite give the performance on Thursday. Because there was a point that the really epic part of her song was like this 30-second note that she held, and she kept going higher on it. And that was amazingly gifted. That was like, wow, I was in awe. But she did, again, just objectively, she hit a bit of a sour moment toward the end. And unfortunately, it was the sour moment that they featured during the voting. Like, if you want to vote for Ukraine, here's the little snippet. And it was like this little kind of like, kind of thing, that she didn't quite hit the pitch right. Having said that, again, trying to demonstrate that I'm being objective here. When Cyprus and Ukraine were in the final on Saturday, they hit everything the way they were supposed to. Okay, so again, I'm just being objective about Thursday's performances. Okay, I just objectively thought that they weren't that strong. But yeah, they both made it through to the final. They both performed very well at the final. Everyone performed very well at the final. I really felt that there was nobody who just vocally didn't deliver on Saturday. It made for an amazing show. All right. But I felt, having said that, songs that should have gone in, or countries that should have gone in over Cyprus, I thought was Switzerland. Switzerland was robbed. Switzerland was a beautiful, awesome, amazing, well-delivered song. Switzerland is great. Armenia, again, I love my like Euro pop kind of numbers, and that's what Armenia was giving. So again, it's just my personal take. I know probably not high on a lot of other people's lists. That's fine. I'm not going to try to, get you to switch over to the way I like to listen to music. But I thought Armenia could have gone in. Latvia, I thought was really good. Latvia delivered. Where I think Latvia deserves mention here is Latvia definitely delivered a live vocal that wasn't always perfect, but hers gave a more reined in, artistically delivered, I know what's happening with my voice, and I'm deliberately making these artistic choices with how I'm hitting these notes. So that's why, if you're like, well, wait, he doesn't like Cyprus and Ukraine, but Latvia gave a live performance that wasn't always there. I thought it was a lot more controlled from Latvia. I thought Latvia was well done there. These were my picks heading into the final, into Saturday. You can see I also loved Bulgaria. Um, it's a banger. I mean, it's in the name, Bangaranga. It's a banger. I love Denmark. Denmark was amazing. Such a good stage performance. So well done on the stage. Poland. Whew, I saw Poland's number in her national final video, and I was like, okay, this is fine. But man, that stage performance and the way she gave it on stage blew me away. It was great. I loved it. But anyway, how mine fell. Um, yeah, that was just again my taste. If you want to talk about, oh my gosh, I can't believe you gave Moldova 22nd place, something. We can get into it. That's fine. I'm happy to talk to you about it. But this is just my tastes, where they go. Okay, almost done. Let's talk about the good, bad, and the ugly. The good, Bulgaria's first win, yay. I was also very pleasantly surprised and delighted that the jury and the audience picked Bulgaria to win. Over the past couple days since the end of the competition, I've been keeping my ear out for people who are like, what? They shouldn't have won. Oh, they bought the contest, this, that, and the other. And of course, there's probably a couple people that might feel that this shouldn't have won. Like, oh, I can't believe that my country was so slighted we didn't win. There's always going to be that. It's a competition, right? But I truly feel that 98% or something of everyone goes, yeah, Bulgaria was the one. Yeah, we liked that one. So that was really good, I thought. Voting from the start. So in years past, I think this is our first year that did this. I could be wrong. But in years past, you had to wait until the final song was done before they would open voting. And this year, from just about the start of the show, it was even before the first act went on. But you could vote from the beginning. And I really liked that change. I thought that really evens the playing field for songs that in the past, if they were earlier in the show, they were kind of forgotten. Their momentum was dulled by the end of the show. So the fact that you can vote at the beginning of the show, I thought really helped even that playing field. I was also very glad that there didn't seem to be any gimmicks this year. And what I mean by that is a couple years ago, there were like 4 acts I think it was like 2022, maybe 23, that literally like at a point during their song said, want to see me dance? Like, no, we want to see the song. You have dancers on stage, let them dance. I don't want to see you're the singer, sing. But again, this is just my opinion. I recognize that. I'm not trying to dictate or convince people to do something else. But I was just a trend that I had noticed that I wasn't cared for. Same thing with the opera. Now, I like opera. Lucia di Lammermoor is my favorite. Donizetti, Magic Flute, Queen of the Night, I'm good with opera. I like opera. But it just seems more like a gimmick or a fad in Eurovision. Okay, and there's always going to be fads. There's always going to be things that, come and go out of the, zeitgeist, out of popular culture. I get it. But I just felt like it was kind of okay, we had a year or two of the opera. There were 1 or 2 songs still that had those operatic voices in them, and they were fine. I love them. They were well delivered this year. But I like to see that die down, right? I like that each song was kind of its own unique thing. We didn't get a lot of commonality between songs. The one thing I would like to do is in that parentheses there, maybe go to 4 minutes. I think that they're all supposed to be 3 minutes long. The one thing I will say as far as like a trend this year, for some reason to my ears, a lot of the songs were very repetitive. And I'm going to even say that for Bangaranga. It's a pretty repetitive song. Moldova was just like, oh my gosh, like I said before, we get it. You love Moldova, Viva Moldova. But a lot of songs seemed very repetitive this year. Okay, which would be maybe on that note of trends, which is why I kind of put that comment with that. The bad, 0 points. The UK, I'm sorry, the UK stunk this year. I do feel over the past couple of years that the UK has not deserved 0 points. Sometimes I feel like a lot of times the UK should have gotten some. But this year was just, although the UK entrant was like, people are either going to love this or they're going to hate it, and well, you weren't wrong. But yeah, that was such a stinker this year. Ugh. Belgium was fine. I thought they were fine. I don't know that they deserved 0 points. Germany gave very much a callback to Cyprus from a couple years ago. El Diablo, on fire, fire. But yeah, honestly, when your song just rhymes fire with liar, come on, try a little harder. Germany last year, Baller. Baller was so good. It's on my playlist still. I love Baller. You know, this year, yeah, it just wasn't giving anything new. The ugly, I think we still need to address the vote padding, the Israel situation, and I'm sorry to call it out. I'm sorry to hang that on a country by name, but just the padding, it still exists to some degree. But of course, to how much? You can see there in writing, I've put down, Michelle was objectively a great song. It was. Michelle was a great song. I love that song. I mean, again, I didn't vote highly for it because, as I've said a couple times, I like the bangers, and Michelle is more, a kind of a ballad, waltzy kind of song. But it was a good song. So it's hard, how can you really address it? The vote padding specifically I'm talking about, because it was I feel like it definitely got padded some, but by how much? How can you objectively say, oh well, this shouldn't have got this many votes, this is a campaign. Israel did kind of get dinged a bit this year from their vote campaigning, so I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said. I'm not making any allegations or any crazy statements here, but that's an ugly thing that's happening right now. Let's be honest about it. All right, final thoughts. Basically, I get asked every once in a while, I promise I do, what's going in your playlist from this year's Eurovision. So here's what's going in my playlist. And again, being true here, I'm being honest with you, minor bangers for the most part. Bulgaria, obviously, I haven't gotten that song stuck out of my head since the final. Poland was really giving. It's not obviously going on my dance track playlist necessarily. Greece, I loved Greece. It's going on there too. Denmark, Norway, Romania, Austria. I thought Austria should have gotten more than they did. I thought especially it's sometimes obvious when the host country doesn't want to host again. You know what I'm saying? If you've watched Eurovision, you know what I'm saying, right? They don't send a super strong song their second year like, yeah, we did this year. It cost a lot of money. It was a lot of nightmares. Let's let someone else deal with it next year, right? So they'll send something that's maybe not the most amazing ever. I really thought Austria gave an earnest shot at a good song, and I thought it was good. It was in German, which is kind of a difficult song, I think, to get people on board with, but I thought it was really good. The performance of it was not so great. Somebody would say like the dancers were kind of out of sync with the background and stuff, which was true. So again, objectively, yes, agreed. But I thought the song in and of itself is good enough to get on my playlist. So there we are. It's under 20 minutes, wrapping up at 19. Hey, not so bad for me, huh? But there's my thoughts on Eurovision 2026.